Alright guys, we're gonna be talking to you guys about the drawing and talking about you guys about the whole process of what I went through with YouTube. And like most people, including myself, this is not my first channel. This is like my 23rd channel, and I'm just gonna draw and talk about YouTube and what I think about YouTube. So if you like that type of stuff, make sure you hit the like button and all that good stuff. All right, so I'm gonna draw and talk about YouTube. Now the reason I'm gonna go to the beginning on YouTube, and the reason why I jumped into YouTube is because I was inspired by one of my classmates. Right, we used to go to the same college together, and I noticed with her, she blew up. Like, she gone from 50K, 60K, 70K, then like damn near over 1 million, right? So she's doing pretty good, and that inspired me because it's like, wow, like, I mean, she deserves it too, because she's very creative and all that good stuff. And as for me, that really motivated me into going into YouTube, right? So when I started, it was back in 2017, and I noticed at that time that's when you start to see a lot of people doing reaction videos, and now it's like that's like the stable thing that everyone does now. Is like reaction videos this, reaction video that, right? Everything is like mainly based upon commentary. So I want to do something different, which was like create an avatar and to make reaction videos, which is like okay, you know, I didn't, but at the same time it's like I didn't really know how to edit. So a lot of times I'm literally just like going back and forth with looking at YouTube tutorials on how to edit videos, and also looking up like ways to do stop animation with like avatars that I've designed. You know, now they got AI for that, but this is way before the whole thing with AI. So yeah, I'm like literally just trying to figure out like how to do certain things while at the same time making content. And of course I got burnt out. Why? Because, you know, when you do reaction videos, everything is like really quick. It's about quantity, not quality, right? So you just got to make it quick. You got to strike the iron while it's hot. And by the time I strike the iron, well, you know, the iron got cold. It got cold, you know. And I will do so much work with, you know, making that type of content. It took me a long time because I was doing it in a very robust way, because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I literally like designed the avatars on Adobe Illustrator, and then I do a bit of stop animation on Adobe Photoshop, and then after that I play around with like speeding or lowering down the points that needed to be made by speeding it up or lowering down using the effects of the MP4 that I made with the stop animation on Photoshop, and then I'll transfer it onto Adobe Premiere, and I'll literally like speed it up or slow it down so it can synchronize with whatever I'm talking about. Yeah, a lot of work. and it was very robust, to say the least, right? Very robust. But it did at the same time, because I was doing things the very robust, long way, it burned me out. But at least it got me into fully understanding the nuances of production, you know, as far as like how to turn this into this, you know, turn this Adobe Illustrator and then make, you know, different face expressions and different clothing designs of your avatar on Illustrator, bring it onto Photoshop, and then like do the, you know, different nuances from that, and then export it onto Premiere. So I was doing a whole lot, man. I was doing a whole lot. And by the time I put out the video, well, no one cares because it's not hot anymore. It took too long. Then instead of me doing reaction videos, then I was like, you know what, why don't I just do like movie reviews, right, on the stuff that I'm into, but still using the avatar. So I was doing that and didn't go anywhere. But I was so desperate that I saw a smaller channel who was doing the same thing, and I reached out to them like, oh, man, since they're a smaller channel, I think there's a high chance they will respond to me. And they did, and I ended up becoming friends with this person. Even to this day, we're like close friends. We still never met, but we're close friends. We talk on the phone whenever we're available. So we ended up like, he gave me a suggestion. He's like, hey, why don't you just like, why don't you just like show your face and then just do like reaction videos, since it's so much work for you to do all these like illustrations and all that. So I'm like, all right. So I ended up doing that. And don't get me wrong, like that's when the channel started to really pick up momentum, getting over 1,000 subscribers and all that stuff. Because I was like a guinea pig. There's like, because you gotta bear in mind, even with him, like I surpassed his subscribers, because he never had 1,000. He always had like 100, right? And he was doing it longer than me. So I was a guinea pig in terms of like, okay, I was hoping like, oh, YouTube is gonna pay the bills, and I don't want to work a 9 to 5, and I'm tired of the 9 to 5 grind. I really want to showcase my creativity the best way I can and make all these like videos and all that stuff, right? And doing it in a unique, creative way, because being an artist. So that was that. But the more I was making those videos, the more I was losing myself, because I would constantly just become more like everybody else, which is like, okay, you're doing reaction videos, like, so I would try at some times to like add some effects, do some like some comedic segues or whatever it is, to make me look different compared to everybody else, yada yada yada. But it just was eating me alive, honestly, because it's like, because the moment I end up doing like because every time I was like, 30 suggestions down below, any things you guys want me to react to, and then one thing happened when they're like, oh, react to this music. I was like, music? That time YouTube wasn't that anal when it came down to doing music reactions. Like, yeah, you get a copyright, but it's not like they will take down the video. So I'm like, all right, this could be an opportunity, because I experimented with that, and all of a sudden I got like 4,000 views. I know that's nothing for a lot of people, but for me, that was a lot. I'm like, wow, like 4,000 views over doing a reaction video over music? All right, count me in. And mind you, at that time, I didn't know anything about OBS. So I didn't do I didn't do anything with OBS. I did it the old-fashioned way, which is like, get your camera, record, use a screen recorder, and then just do the editing process on, I use Premiere. So on the editing process, I'll like synchronize them together, export it, after exporting, then upload. So it wasn't like OBS where you could just hit record and record, the video is ready to go. So yeah, so I learned that OBS thing later on when I was doing reaction videos, but at that time I did like over 200 reaction videos. And even when I learned, because the reason why I started getting burnt out doing reaction videos, honestly, because everything was like, doing it the old-fashioned way, like editing, synchronize them together, and then like export it and wait for it to render. So I ended up going into doing OBS, which was easier, and I wanted to stay away from doing music reaction videos, because then during that transition, that's when they started to become more anal with that. And it was like a weird catch-22. It's like, the algorithm is pushing me out there in terms of doing music reaction videos. However, at the same time, they're also hitting me with a copyright strike and also taking down the video. So it's like, dang. So I kind of put myself in a weird Sudoku, made a mistake by putting that number moment, where it's like, damn, I can't really progress anywhere with this. So then what happened was that I ended up straight up like, okay, let me transition towards gaming, because I like playing video games. Well, I used to. So I'm more like a casual guy, where it's like I keep up with what's going on by just watching people play games on YouTube. and looking up like, people who are bloggers talking about video games. So I'm like, all right, I could definitely dive into something like this, So that's what I ended up doing. So I ended up doing like video game reaction videos, and I still felt empty inside. I was very empty. I'm like, yeah, some of them are getting views, others aren't. But the main reason why I felt empty inside, because remember, at this time, you guys don't know this, but at this time I was unemployed. And I was really hoping, which is, now looking back, is like, are you insane? I was really hoping for YouTube to get me out of the 9-to-5 grind and for me to become a full-time YouTuber. That's why I was going heavy on the paint with making over 200 videos, and I was getting burnt out. And I was like, okay, what's an practical way for me to still make a lot of content without burning myself out? That's why I discovered OBS, and I was doing gaming reaction videos, because music reaction videos, it just was getting demonetized, right? And speaking of demonetized, this was during the time where I finally got partnered with YouTube, because it's not just 1,000 subscribers, but it was over 4,000 watch time hours, right? So I finally reached that mark, and I was excited. And mind you, I don't know anybody personally, right? Other than the girl who got over 1 million, but we didn't know each other on that level of being friends. We was like classmates, not even acquaintances, right? So classmates at best. So I didn't have that person who'd been through the ringer to tell me the reality. So I learned the hard way that even though you're partnered with YouTube, you can have the 4,000 hours and all that type of stuff, you still ain't getting paid anything, because you still have to go through it's called Google Sense, AdSense, right? You still have to go through having a threshold of $100 or $200. And you're thinking, oh, that's not bad. $200, that should be easy to get, right, on YouTube. Wrong. YouTube don't pay you pretty much almost nothing unless you have an enormous, and when I say enormous, I'm talking about like, even people who got 1 million subscribers, it's based upon the views, not the subscribers. Because if you just average out 2,000 views, and it also depends on how much content you produce, you're not getting paid that much. Your main income is based upon sponsors. But YouTube does have a hand because of your popularity, even though you don't get paid off of it. But your popularity and status will garner you to have the money off of outsource, revenue, like sponsorships, other, endeavors that you involve yourself with, stuff like that. So it's like TikTok in a way, because TikTok, you don't get paid a lot of money either. It's just the endorsements that you will get because of your popularity. So YouTube has a threshold of like, I believe it's $200, right? And you're like, okay, that should be easy. Mind you, with my over 200 videos that I made, I'll give you an example. So one video, it was a reaction video to a video game, right? And it garnered 4,000 views. Guess how much money that it showed me through AdSense? Yep. It was 25 cents on 4,000 view video. So think about that. 4,000 views got 25 cents. So imagine if I'm continuing going down that route, and I'm desperate for money, and I don't want to do a 9-to-5 grind, and you see something like that. Do you really think that any common man, common woman is going to be like, you know what, let me work even harder? No, you're not. In fact, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to be like, wow, so all this hard work, doing over 200 videos, finally reached the threshold of being partnered with YouTube, did over 4,000 hours, to then realize in the end that even some of your recent videos that got 4,000 views only garnered 25 cents. That was a awakening for me. I'm like, wow. I guess I need to look for a 9-to-5. Yeah, I mean, I was still applying for jobs anyway while I was, making content on YouTube. However, at the same time, it really did put just left me in a very disarray. It made me feel, I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel depressed. Now, of course, I should have done my research and know and understand, but I was so naive and I was so desperate. Keyword, desperate. That I was willing to just think that there's light in the end of the tunnel. I was dead wrong. So in that outcome, I'm like, oh crap. I dedicate so much time, over 200 videos. Now, I don't even know if I still have those videos, honestly. I was so upset at myself that I think I deleted those videos, because I mean, of course I deleted on YouTube, but I mean deleted it in terms of not having on my local drive, my external drive. I think I deleted it. I wouldn't be surprised. And not only that, but the viewers wanted me to keep making reaction videos because there was fans of the musicians. So I started to feel like I disrespected myself, because I'm like, why? They're not here for me. They don't give a crap. They're here for the reaction videos. And it put me in a weird catch-22, because the audience came in because of that. But I can't, even if let's say I put my feelings aside, right? And I'm like, you know what? Let me give them what they want. I can't even do that because YouTube don't even want me to do that because of copyright. So now it's that weird conundrum. It's like, you can't give them what they want, even if you don't want to do it, because YouTube is going to demonetize it. So then you're not even making a dime. And even if you did, you're going to get paid 25 cents. And you gotta do all those videos to get it up to $200. I'm sorry, but $200 don't pay no bills. Maybe utilities, or maybe your internet or your phone bill. They don't pay no rent. They don't pay no mortgage. They don't pay no car insurance. So to go into YouTube blindly, like, I'm seeing all these people making so much money. I'm not saying YouTube don't make a lot of money. It does. But you're gonna have to go through a long time, unless you are a really attractive woman. If you're a really attractive woman, or if you're a dude who's really attractive and women find you attractive, or if you already come in with a lot of wealth and you're just showing off like you got money. If you don't have any extremes, or you're not groomed, if you know what I mean. There's some people who just like, how are they so big and they barely do anything? If you're not in any of those categories, you, just like everybody else, is gonna have to go through the grind. You gotta weather the storm. In fact, I'm gonna literally write that down here as I'm talking to you guys. Weather I almost spelled weather wrong. Weather the storm. You gotta weather the storm. That's how it is with YouTube. You gotta weather the storm. If you don't have any base income, like a 9-to-5 income or freelancing income, and you're banking on YouTube, don't do it. That is ludicrous. Now, of course, a lot of people's like, duh. You don't understand. It's different when you have a passion and you really want that to be a career. You want a hobby to turn into your main source of income, right? Now, in some cases, you may not want that. I'm just saying, sometimes people pick their own poison. They're like, I really want this. And then when you're in it, you're like, oh, crap. I didn't know you had to do this, you had to do that, you had to do this, you have to do this, you gotta do that. I thought you just make content. No. It's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know. So sometimes you pick your poison. However, at the same time, what I went through with YouTube, so many times I stopped. So many times. You know? But at the same time, I enjoy making content. But as I gotten older, I enjoy making content that is sustainable. What does that mean? Meaning, I'm not going to go all out into something that no one is going to see, or it's not going to create any type of positive outcome that can put me into a certain position. So now I'm more into just enjoying life. I'm not relying on platforms. If something happens, great. Am I betting on it? No. And I know I really fast forward, but after that video that had like 1,000 video, after that YouTube channel that had over 1,000 subscribers, I stopped with YouTube. I stopped. I was desperate too. I set up a Patreon. I'm like, hey guys, if you guys want me to do a video request, just sign up on Patreon. Blah, blah. One person did. I was so desperate. I tried to ask my friends, hey man, if you guys sign up on Patreon, man, you guys can help me out, because if they see that the numbers are growing there, seeing 2 or 3 people, that might give them the incentive of doing it as well. I was a desperate train wreck. All right. I will admit it. I was a desperate train wreck. And I was getting mad at my friends. This is what I realized too, you cannot mix friendship with business. It just doesn't work. Because then you can also see their true colors. The same thing where it's like sometimes you just can't mix your friends with like living with them. It's just a different dynamic. It's like, oh, they're cool people, but if you live with them, oh, now you're dealing with a different perspective in which you're like, you know what? Nah. I think it's better if we're just friends in this position, but not living together. So the same thing with business. It's like, yeah, they're not going to really help you. Not that they don't like your product. It's just they're dealing with their own stuff as well, and they can't afford. That's one thing I have to go through. Like, they just couldn't afford to help me. But I was getting mad. It's like, oh, I want to make this a career, and you're ruining my career. And I'm just like, putting all my eggs into an unreliable basket. And I was getting frustrated, not mainly with them, but with myself. So I left YouTube, right? And then I came back. The silver line at that time was because I was making so many videos. I was editing so many videos all the time. Repetition, you get better through repetition, right? I was no longer green, or should I say an amateur with editing. At that time, I was much more fluent with editing. Like, I knew exactly where the tools are located. I understood timing. I understood adding sound effects at the right time, things of that nature compared to before. And also, I was much more comfortable talking on the mic compared to before. Back then, I will always keep redoing stuff. Like, oh, I made a mistake here. Oh, let me redo it. Oh, let me redo it. I became more comfortable. I started to no longer care if I make mistakes. It made it more human. So that was that. That was the silver lining. But I left YouTube because I needed to pay the bills. I needed to pay the bills. YouTube couldn't pay the bills. So then when I ended up working a 9-to-5 job, I was like, you know what? Now let me get back on YouTube, right? Now I want to do stuff where at that time I was doing Storytime, but I was doing like animations. And it sounded good on paper, and it definitely could have went somewhere. However, I got burnt out. I'm gonna be real with you. I got burnt out. Because even though I gotten better doing animations compared to before, I made a whole different set of characters, different new set of avatars that are updated from how they previously looked. And then the animations are much more smooth with the stop animations. However, no matter what, it still took a long time to make. It took weeks to make that one video that was, I believe it was like 12 minutes long. 12 minutes long. And it got, I believe it had like barely 100 views. And of course that's crushing, you know, that's crushing. You put in all those weeks for something that didn't go anywhere. So I was just at that weird predicament where I'm like, you know what? Let me stop. Let me stop with YouTube. I ended up stopping the channel because I was getting burnt out already. I was getting burnt out already because of the outcome and because how long it took me to make it. Because energy is real. Energy is a real thing. If you're not getting nothing out of it, then you ask yourself, what's the point? As much as we criticize 9 to 5, yeah, 9 to 5 could be stressful. You know, it could be annoying. But at least the outcome, you're getting paid. You're getting some positive reinforcement that can allow you to pay your bills, that can allow you to keep a roof over your head, that can allow you to do so many things, right? Or entertainment, like playing video games, whatever it is, right? Buying clothes, going shopping, going on vacation. It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off for your pleasure, your pain. If you go to the gym to live longer, stay healthy, it's a payoff. But when you do something where your only payoff is that, okay, you finished the video, congratulations, you accomplished it, the outcome is out of your control. No one sees it. So it leaves you into this conundrum where you're like, what's the point of me doing all this if it's not going anywhere? Which is valid points, right? Just like if guys are talking to girls, or if a girl's talking to a guy. What's the point of me doing this if there's no actual progression? So it leaves you in this frustration perspective. You're frustrated. What do I do? And of course, it leads to comparing yourself to other people. And that is the biggest downfall that I went through too many times of making different YouTube channels. I'm like, well, this person's doing this. Okay, so let me do something similar to that, but in my own way. Didn't work. So you just get frustrated and then you leave. It's like now you put yourself in a weird, it sounds like I'm abusing myself in a relationship with something that's like not responding really, you know, like an abusive relationship type thing that I put myself in psychologically. Because here's the reality of it, right? YouTube don't care. It is not even like putting down whatever. I'm just being realistic. They don't owe anybody anything. Just because you make a video doesn't mean YouTube owes you the recognition and the popularity, the publicity, the free exposure, and things of that nature. It doesn't owe you any of that. And I got to the point now in my life, because I went all out with YouTube before, buying cameras like this camera right here, you know, getting the mic that you hear, like the Blue Yeti mic and all this stuff, buying all this equipment. And you're thinking like, okay, I really am dedicated because I'm investing with all of this. That doesn't mean that it's gonna go somewhere. And I don't mean to sound depressing or, you know, I'm just being real. I still do it because I enjoy making content. Now, not heavy lifting content unless it could garner, you know, respect and views and people wanted to see that, then that gives me the incentive of doing so. But until then, I actually like just relaxing, drawing, and just talking. Stripping it down to what my purpose was from the beginning, which is to talk about topics, and then in the creative aspect of it, drawing what I'm talking about, and just keeping it bare minimum, keeping it minimalistic. I've been seeing other channels, and I used to think before back then that, you know, you gotta, like, yo, these channels that are doing good, the reason why is because, you know, the editing skills is crazy, man. You gotta do a lot of editing. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. You gotta do a lot of this, you gotta do a lot of that. Nah, you don't have to. There are channels, and I do none of that. Now again, I'm not comparing myself. I just came to the realization, getting older with maturing as an adult, and understanding that life is not, less is more. That's the takeaway that I'm saying here. Less is more. Right? I'll write it right here. Less is more. And that's the realization I went through, is that less is more. You gotta weather the storm. You gotta weather the storm. And YouTube is always gonna be YouTube. It's still a great platform regardless, because you're able to have the freedom of doing whatever you want as far as like articulating your opinions towards certain topics, as long as it's meeting the guidelines. But never look at it as a meal ticket. Just look at it as a way of, like it's like the slogan said back then, YouTube, broadcast yourself. Look at it as a way of just expressing yourself. And if it could turn into something where it's a full time, that's great. If not, it's not the end of the world. Don't rely on it. And that's the realization that I went through when it came down to my journey over 22 YouTube channels of making content on YouTube. Years from 2017, over 22 different channels. And each time I went through that, I've learned more about myself and learned more about what I prioritize in my life as I gotten older. That's my YouTube journey, and that's how I came up with this channel, Stylo Convo. So what do you guys think in the comment section below? Leave your thoughts down below. And don't forget to like the video. That really helps out the channel. Don't forget to like the video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.